So hey everybody, welcome back to Jack's Woodshop. I'm going to show you some of the basic tools that you need to have in a woodshop. The most simple tool, this is called a ruler, and it's graduated in inches because we're here in the United States. You'll need to have a square so you can get a 90-degree angle. This is also marked off in inches on it. Often I'll use my fingers and my hands to measure things, okay? So if I want to measure the depth of a hole, I'll stick my finger in the hole and I'll put my thumb on where it meets the top, and I can measure from here to here and know that that's exactly 2 inches. So for example, let's just measure it. Boom, look at that. If you look at right where I'm at, right at 2 inches. So I use my hands, but you should have them around. Now we'll go to the cutting tools. Every woodshop should have one of these guys. This is a circular saw. My favorite, it's very heavy. If you've got a lot of money in your budget, you can buy electric band saws, drill presses, miter box saws, and a lathe. Now we go into the regular hand saw. This is a typical hand saw. It's not that expensive. This is made by Stanley Company here in the United States. I think this was probably about $20 or $25 for one of these saws. A good quality one. Don't buy the cheap ones. You'll have to throw those away after the first use. They're horrible. Always spend as much money as you can to buy the best quality tool. Now this is another very good tool. This is one of my favorite tools. I love this tool. This one is made in Japan. It's called a life saw. It's 9 inches long. Okay, it's thinner than the other type of hand saw, and the cutting motion is on the reverse pull. That one's on the forward push. This is really handy for very small cuts. Say if I wanted to cut the end of this off, I could easily cut it with this. Now, probably the most important and the most frequently used, and often the children say that this is their favorite tool, and that is the carving knife. I was involved in the design of this knife, and they hold an edge, and they're very, very useful in the woodworking shop. The first thing I have the children do is to be able to make the wood curve like that. And if they're able to do that, then I know that they have good control over the tool. So this is probably one of the most important tools in a woodworking shop. And I like this particular design. And they're not too expensive. Then the next cutting tool that I want to show you, sets of these. They're Woodpecker brand wood cut knife. This particular one has 6 different types of gouges and chisels in it. They're all useful for different tasks. This is probably the one that I use the most, is the simple gouge. However, you use them all eventually, and keep them sharp. Got to keep them sharp, and keep these sharp. Another cutting tool, very rarely do the children use, but there are a couple of times when they can use this hatchet. At the beginning of 4th grade, for example, they're taking a log and they're going to split the log into 2. These also have to be always kept sharp as well. Now we're going to get into the hammering tools. Now I make these tools here. These are made of maple, which is a very hard wood. They're very durable. You can use it in this kind of configuration, this configuration, or often I use it this way. You see how this goes off to the side sometimes, so the kids will hit their fingers sometimes. So I always try to encourage them to use it like that. Now, they don't use this very often, but occasionally when they have to drive a nail, they'll need a carpenter hammer, okay? And then once it's in there, you'll need to use this side to get it back out. And then, of course, the mallet. Got a video here where we've made one of these mallets out of logs. That's a very interesting video. I encourage you to look at it. I think you'll enjoy it. Occasionally, we'll need to use glue for different purposes. This tool is something that we made. There's a video of it. You need it all through the years in woodworking. These tables are 20 years old. If we didn't have these tables would be falling apart by now. Next tool we want to talk about is a clamp. Now the clamps, these tables, these very good woodworking tables, that's also an important tool, they have clamps built into them. Okay, these are called bench vices, and they're able to hold the material in there, and the kids don't have to hold it with their hand. This is another type of a clamp. It's called a C-clamp. Say if I want to hold this really solid in there, that's the way you do it. And then this type of clamp is actually quite valuable to have in a woodworking shop. This is called a railroad clamp, or sometimes called Actually, it's called a Jorgensen clamp, but sometimes it's called a railroad clamp. And you see how it works. It tightens up, loosens up. You can loosen this side, but it makes this side pinch together. Okay, or you can just make this side pinch together this way, or open it up. Now, the reason this is a handy item to have is that you see how close your hands are, and you know you can do this as safely if you're carving away from yourself, but occasionally you'll have to carve this way. And the kids need to be reminded over and over again about not carving like this. Why? Because you're carving right towards your own thumb. Okay, you don't want to carve like this. Why? You're carving towards yourself. So if you can put your project in one of these clamps, now you can keep your spare hand off to the side and simply use the clamp to hold the project. A very valuable tool to have, the Jorgensen clamp. I would definitely have a good collection of these in your shop. So finally, I think the last thing that's important for a woodworking shop, sandpaper. You can get very poor quality sandpaper. You can get very high quality sandpaper. I find that it's worth the extra few dollars to buy the quality stuff. And you need at least a rough, a medium, and a fine grit of sandpaper. Just 3 different size papers is fine. You don't need 15 different selections of sandpaper. You need just the basics: coarse, medium, and fine. And this is a coarse one. It's 80 grit. Maybe 150 grit would be your medium. 220 grit would be your fine one. The other thing that I have not talked about, but every wood shop should have a first aid kit. It should have some antibiotic cream in it, should have some Band-Aids and some other kind of bandages. But you should have a first aid kit in every single wood shop. Of course, please watch the safety video before you do any work. Safety is the #1 priority in the wood shop. So refresh yourself, watch it before you start carving. I've got scars all over my hands where I've cut myself. So it doesn't matter how great you are or how great you think you are. Accidents happen, little cuts happen. So that's pretty much the basic hand tools that you want to have in the wood shop. There's many more possibilities for your tools, and thanks for watching. See you next time.